Alrighty. It's great when the voice on my little animated thing works to my voice, but doesn't happen very often. Anyway, so this session, the plan is to try and make a Dance Revolution clone using Reactor in Mona. I have a good idea of how I'm gonna get this working. I don't know if it will work, but we'll give it a shot. And this will definitely show sort of my entire approach to how I go about Reactor events or activities or whatever you want to call it. So I got the whole thing. So with that, let's jump in. There we go. Okay. If anyone gets in the chat, feel free to tell me if the audio is working or not. Yeah, please do that. So, to start, basically we have a couple of assets that I've made and created this, basically. So this is kind of like a prototype space, so I would probably clean it up and make it a little bit better, but this is mostly about Reactor. So what have we got? We've got like a base, this is like a screen, this is like a score. We have our I don't know what you call it, a place to stand and do things. What else do we have? I've done sort of like a tile. You can't really see it very well though. Yeah. So a tile with an arrow that is diagonal and one that is straight. And I've just done one of each because I'm going to use that in Unity separately, sort of thing. I have an arrow for animation. I could use a shader maybe, but I'm going to go with actual physical assets, physical digital assets, and sort of like a thing that will connect if that's working. And I've also got a list of numbers that we're going to use to show the score. So that's basically all I created using Blender. Now with these ones, I haven't really done much in regards to UV. Like that's all kind of a mess. Once again, just a prototype for at this point. That said, every time I overwrite the FBX, if I updated this with a updated UV map, that would update in Unity. So Unity is quite good with that in mind. So now the setup, I haven't done any animation. This is purely just the model. So I have empty game object with the base there. I have our tiles, which are these ones there. Now I'm actually probably going to delete some of them because I actually want to do it so when you move over it, it will press down. It's a very subtle thing, but I think it'll be pretty important. The other option is maybe change the light or both. So we'll look at that in a second. The next is the screen. So we have the goal and we have the arrow. So the plan is to sort of animate these coming up, and then when they connect that, I'm going to show like a collider in all of these, which will add this number. So that's basically what the plan is. We'll see how it goes. And the numbers, I only have one number, but these are like 0 to 10. Basically going to animate showing or like enabling or disabling these assets so it looks like a counter. So hopefully that is all the tools we need. Style points, different stream. So yeah. I'm gonna do a quick check on something. One moment. There we go. Okay. I am not even gonna guess that name. That is not an Australian name. I will say that. Wagner. Wagner? I'll give that one a shot. I can do that. How do you phonetically say that? That sounds very complicated. Welcome to the stream. I apologize for not being able to say your name correctly. I think it's every streamer's nightmare is getting people coming into the stream and just like very complicated names. All right, so what are we going to? Yeah, so we're focusing on Reactor, which is the interactivity tool in Mona, because we don't allow scripting. So basically, we have ways to do sort of interactive experiences. So let's start small, shall we? Alright, I'm going to get rid of... Nope, that, and that. Yeah, cool. Alright. So, F to zoom in. Now, what I'm going to do is create basically a very simple, when I stand on this, change the color, and depress. Now, as noted in the tutorials, a Reactor is all about the animation tools. So basically, let's make some animation. So we have the two tools here, animation and animator. Animation and animator is up in window, animation, animation, and animator. The quickest way to set everything up is basically go to animation on a selected object and go create. And then create your animation. Now, the first one is the idle animation. Whatever you do that with. So let's call that tile up. Because we're going to have tile up and tile down. That works. So let's save. Now, the things, if you hit the little record button, anything you change will be animated with a keyframe. So... let's keep it green. Not that one. Ah. Why? Okay, let's just do that. I have found that my inspector is being a little bit flaky lately. I don't know why that is, but let's sort of keep that. What happens when I change this one? Okay. Interesting. Not sure why that is. Well, let's do that for now. And then we can create a new clip. We also... oh, that's interesting. We also need to sort of snap it in the upward position. So I'm holding left control and then moving it up and then down so that the position is the same. Create new clip, tile, down. Okay, hit record, move it down. That works. Change color. So let's go a bit brighter. And more yellow. Now, once again, not too sure why the whole thing's going green, but we'll see how that goes. Now, when you make these animations, they will go into Animator, like so. So up is the idle, and down is where we want it to go. So right mouse click on this, go make transition, click on to tile down, same again, make transition to go back. We also need a parameter. So usually by default it will be layers, go to parameters, and let's go a boolean, so true or false. So go tile down. So I'm using like longer things. I could just go down and up, but I've got a few things going on. So I'm going to make sure that this is clear. And then we want it to go down whenever we want. Maybe, but usually they're sort of separate, so it's a bit of a strange one, actually. But I'll check that in a sec. That's not a bad idea. I'll give it a shot. So if you turn off... Yeah. It's the beginning of a Dance Dance Revolution machine in Mona, so we'll see how it goes. So it has exit time. If you turn it off, it means that it can start this transition at any time, and by any time, it means when tile down equals true. And then when we move out, tile down equals false. Now, this is what Reactor does. Reactor is telling Animator parameters to change in some way. Now, in this case, we're going to say that this parameter has changed to true or false. So this is what Reactor does. Reactor isn't really where things happen. It's just telling something else to do something, which is Animator. So in this case, we have that. So, it might be... Yeah, I forgot about this. So, if I recall, if you change an animator... if you change a render, it changes all of them at once. So, even though these are two separate materials, if I recall, it's actually kind of gonna change both of them. Because that's just how it does it. If I was going to... Maybe there is a way to separate them, but one way to do it would be to actually separate these into two different objects, which I'm not going to do for time reasons, but I think that might be why. So mesh renderer material, like all of them, if that makes sense. So let's do sort of a darker color. Now, which one is this? This is tile down, so we actually want that yellow. And let's go a bit more yellow as well. So green and yellow. So those two are changing as I do that. So I think that's the problem there. Feature. Tile up is default. Move it across. Red on. And let's go a bit darker there. Yeah, so both of those will change color as done. Okay. So let's do the tile straight. Now I'm going to add Reactor Tile Straight. I'm actually going to make this a child just so I can keep it a bit more organized. And then we're going to add the reactor. Mono reactor. And then I'm going to add a collider, just so we can sort of see where that's at. And then put it on our box. So basically the plan is if I enter this cube, or if I touch, not enter, if I touch this box collider, and I'm just going to put it there. If I touch that collider, tile down. So we're going to set this game object's parameter, which was, let's have a look, Animator, tile down. Now notice the capitals are in there as well, so that's pretty important. The tile down parameter, which is a Boolean value to true, lowercase t. And then when we exit it, tile up. This just changes that title here, so it's not that important, but good for me, good for organization. Tile straight, tile down, Boolean to false. Okay. So that's good to go. I'm going to reduce my icons because that's too big. And that should be good. Let's give it a test. Testing in Mona is super easy. There we go. Alright. Now it seems that the collider is in a weird position. So we're going to check that in a second, but it does seem to be working. Seems to be about here. Alrighty. Once again, always delete your playground files because otherwise it won't update. So let's see. Let's move it out. Let's move that to here. And then move that back. Right. Hey Calvin, how's it going? We try. Okay. Why? I have a feeling it'll be moving forward now. Can you see it? Nope. The one issue there is, happy to teach. Hopefully you can learn. I wish it would be really good if I could just do everything flawlessly, but for some reason, and we are going to clean up the UI and make it much easier, but there are always things that make it interesting. So let's move this up to there. I wonder if the scale is an issue as well. Ooh, maybe. Let's change that. Okay. Let's give that a shot. Metals? I don't care about metals, man. It's the gems. That's where it's at. No, it's not. Or maybe. It's not liking it so far. Okay. It's not even there now. Where'd it go? Okay. So the positioning works. Interesting. There we go. Correct. Okay. So, interestingly enough, what are we after? Tiles. Yeah, this is an interesting one, I will say. So let's make that 0, and then put that and that up. I'll have to look into the scaling issue, but I think it is that. So not too sure. So we'll give that a shot. And hopefully, fingers crossed, this works. Okay, it's there. And it steps down because you can see it. Okay, so that's that. So it seems at the moment there's a couple of scale issues, perhaps, but we'll see how that goes. But that's cool. Now I would do the same with the other one, but for today I'll probably focus on the one because we got a lot to get through. So I'm actually going to hide that one, I think, for now, and just focus on this. Now, once you make a reactor, you can actually copy it around, and it will like treat them as separate. So it's really good that that is a thing you can do. So if I do that, and then we have a Dance Dance Revolution game. Finished. Ship it. Let's get this a little bit more organized. A bit back. And a little bit more that way. Okay. Alright. Let's give that a shot. Don't know if I deleted it, but we'll find out. So this is a... What is going on? Ah. So what's happening is animation is usually based on world position. So when you're duplicating it, it's going to animate back to this location. So this approach will not work, but I'm wondering... I want to try one thing. Yeah, so animation is positional. Positional? Absolute. That works. That sounds more correct. So every time I started that animation, because it takes the position into consideration, it will snap back to that one location. So that's what's happening there. If you're creating an asset that is something like changing the colors or something else, you can do that without problems. But unfortunately, yeah, position is absolute. So we have to animate them manually. Okay. So, let's do that then. So I'm actually going to delete the prefab, and this comes up when, like, this has an issue. So if you just go prefab, unpack, it's fine. So that is one thing if you happen to delete the prefabs by mistake. Okay. So, back to this. So this time I'm going to... Well, actually, let's get rid of... So I'm actually going to remove this animator. So when we go to animation, we can create new ones. So create tile left, down, no, up. That one, we need position, so snap, snap, snap. And I'm not going to worry about the color this time. Yeah, I will. So, that. And that. And then add a new one. Tile left. Down. Record. Go down a wee bit. That looks cool. Color. Yellow. And yellow. Alrighty. Now, we do have to change this, so this is straight 0.1, so that's updated with the copy. So if you look at this one, so that's 0.1, this one is, so if you copy the reactor, it will update accordingly, so that's actually quite useful. And the collider is on the same location, so that's great. So, if we go playground, we can check this. Ding. Nope. Why? Ah, okay. So, the animator, there we go, wasn't set up. So, once again, there's sort of two steps in every animator. So, you have the animator set up here, and you have the reactor and collider. So, once again, it'll probably have the same thing. So, let's say tile down, because it's looking at the right asset. That off, true. And that, tile down, false. And that should work. Yes, all streams are recorded and put on the channel. There's like 20 workshops and 16 or 19 build and chills. So there's a lot of content there. But yes, this will be going, this will be recorded. 100%. Okay. So that should work now that it actually has something to look forward. So once again, I'm going to double check. So the animator, set tile down to boolean to true. Yep. And false. Cool. And to think this is the easy part. There we go. There we go. Okay. All right. We're officially going. Now, What I want to do is create a sort of like a very simple animation of the screen, basically. So these here will be sort of coming up like so, and when it gets on that section, Collider is going to be checking these two or all of them eventually. So that's the plan. Now, yeah. Now, when it comes to animation and animators, an animator can access everything on the asset and all children. So if I put the animator here, which I will, I wouldn't be able to animate anything in the tiles. So I just want these arrows. So I'm actually going to move these up the top. So it's a bit more organized. Like so. And once again, create. So let's do DDR arrows. Now this would actually have to be the whole song. So once again, it could be a shader or something that represents the correct point is actually a collider moving or jumping around the assets here. So we actually just need that one and that one for this animation. So we can do that. So let's hide them all. Mesh renderer. That's fine, we don't need the collider. So that's going to go down, put them in here, and then hide them all. And let's go wireframe. So that one is shown, and is it that one? Yes. So these are the two arrows that we're going to be working with. So let's get them going, and everything else is off. Okay. So once again, the problem with these is you will have selected screen, and yeah. So go Animator. Yep. Arrows. So we want this one. Control snap snap. And let's see how 1 second goes. Now we actually want a smooth amount, so I'm actually not going to check that. I will do that in a different method. So let's just snap so everything has the same unit. So this one as well can be like maybe 10. So snap snap, and that would be up here. Now if I want to, I could copy more, but once again, this is a test. Now note how it sort of has a bit of a warm-up. To counter that, we can select all of them, go right click, and then go auto. And then that will be a straight sort of animation, which is what we want. Okay. And let's... how can we do this? Let's do a quick test. Let's see if it actually works. So we'll have these two, and then at that point I'm going to put a collider, check if the player is in it, and then at that point check if the player is in it, and then yeah, so that should work. Now this one doesn't have any actions, this is purely just the loop, so we don't have to worry about the animator on that one. Okay. Not yet, no. We do want that because that would be cool. I want to make a soccer game, for one. That's physics and like object collisions and. So yeah, not at the moment, but we are hoping to get it in there eventually because I agree that would be cool. Okay. Now, what else do we need? We need an empty because I want to start the game and stop the game as soon as you get into the device. So start game. So we're going to do that. We're just going to add a reactor. Like, nope. And a box collider. And we are going to put this in our space. I'm going to actually make sure it's a bit less so people outside can't stop or start by mistake. Just one person can do it, hopefully, if people are nice. And let's put it kind of down so people can't jump as well. So that should work. Alright. So when someone enters this, we want to start... Ah, that's a good point. We actually want to start this one. So this actually does need an idle. So this is a good example of when you need to change the idle. So we can do that. So we have our DD arrows. Let's do DDR idle. That's great. Record. And once again, we're just going to lock them down. Of course, you would do all of them, but for now, we just need the one. So we have our loop and we have our idle. So when the Mona space starts, it's going to be here. We don't want that, so I'm going to right mouse click and go set as layer default state. So this will now be idle, and then we can transfer these. So once again, I want to start the game whenever I want. When we have game playing set to true. So game playing is true. Game playing is false. Okay. So we have that. So we want on enter start game. Once again, that's just the title. Set our screen game playing parameter boolean to true, and stop game. Set our screen game playing parameter that is a boolean to false. Okay. All right. Save that. And let's give it a shot. Now, if I wanted to, I could actually test what this looks like. So I'm going to make this a bit bigger. So this is the idle, and then zoop, zoop. So you can sort of see that transition between the two animations. So if you want to test that, you can definitely do that in your animation. I can also do that with the negative as well. So quite useful. Let's see. We can also test the speed. Alright, so it's not working. Now it's working. Boop, boop. Now that's looping, so that's going to be good. And then we can go test, test. Yeah. This is going to be a hard game. Should we slow it down? What does the chat want? Should we slow that down or keep it hard? Oh, we didn't get out. Oh, I'm sure we could check that later. So yeah, when we get out, that'll stop the game. So that's fine. Now, because of the transition thing, it may actually get those and reduce down, but that's fine for now. We could like have an off-screen or something show instead in the final game. Okay, next up, we have, I guess we have the challenge, like the check. Although we kind of need this as well. Right. So the numbers, I'm going to put this in here because I'm probably going to copy more than one. Do we want to do this individual or... This is complicated. Let's try one and we'll see if that works. If anything, we just want to do a test for more complicated counters, but for now we'll do this. So let's go counter 1. Now we're actually going to do 10 in this case. So we need that. And we're going to hide all of these and then show that one. So that's 0. So very, very easy at this point. So we can just go 1, save, record, hide that, show that. 1. Oh, that's interesting. Okay. Let's just go to 5. I'm sure you get the idea. Once again, I'm just going to hide all of those and show... Which one was this? 2. Create a new clip. Record. 3. Can't count. There we go. 4. Yeah. Okay. We'll do one more. Etc. Etc. Oops. Make sure to hit the record button. 5. Okay, cool. Now, go back to numbers, and we have our numbers here. So we need 0, 1. I always seem to go up. I don't know why. Do whatever works for you, but I always seem to go up. I'm going to move these across because it is always possible to sort of reset. So I would have this relatively complicated counter. I have done it before. I actually forget because that was like a very long time ago. So there's that. But say, for example, if you had a reset button, I would sort of make transition always back to these as needed. But for this argument, we're just going to transition all of these. Now this one is not going to be a Boolean. This one is going to be a bit different. So we're going to add an int counter. So when the int equals 1, go up. When the int equals 2, go up. When the int, etc., etc. There we go. Alrighty. So that's our quick counter that we can do a test on. Next up, we need our checker. So I'm going to create empty. Let's game start and score check. Add component, reactor, and box collider. Excellent. Now, when I go in this collider, yeah, add score, set, we want numbers, and if I recall I did it on this, so yeah, there's the animator. So make sure that you always make sure this object has an animator. So if I dragged this in, numbers, this wouldn't work, and we don't have any QAs of that yet, so make sure that that is good. You'll see that it will connect. So if I do this, there is no line between the two, but if I do that, there is a connection between the two. So that's correct. The parameter was counter. Now in this case, instead of set, we're going to go addition. So every time I enter this object, we're going to add the int of 1. So that would go +1, +1, +1, +1, +1. For example. Now, we need to put this somewhere. We're also going to animate this one. So should I animate? Yeah, I can put it on this. So this can go on other objects. I like keeping them separate, just to make it easier to work with. So if I wanted to, I could put this into a game object, or I can put this here. So let's make this the right size for one. And go over here. Now a little bit high because it's off the ground. That should be good. And then we can move this asset to here. Now, for the sake of argument, I'm going to actually make this a bit smaller. So you have to be like on the tile properly to get the score. Like so. There we go. So if the player is inside this object, add 1 to that and it'll go up. Okay, now next thing we need to do is animate this. So we're going to go to animation, create. Score box. Score box. Now we need, once again, idle for when it's not playing. So I'm actually going to turn the collider off. So it doesn't do anything. And then I'm going to add another one, which is score box play. Which is sort of initially at 0, 0, 0. This is going to be a 0. Now, if I recall, the first one was so notice how it's like off and then on. So you don't have to put a keyframe in front of it. It just appears. So that's fine. How long? 1 frame. Let's keep it 1 frame. So I'm going to turn it off again there. So check there. And then I think 110 was going to move this over here. Now, we don't want to transition, so we want to grab that. So click on the keyframe you want, Control C, move the header to where you want it, which is maybe there, and then that's what we want. And then we turn it on. And then, once again, we want to turn that off. And that should be it. So the catch is lining them up. So let's double check. So we got 1 and 10. Now on our screen, we have 1. No. That's an interesting point, because this is up the top. So, 46, 47, and 58. 47, 58. Everyone remember that? Once again, go to the right one. 47 and 58. That could go +1 because that adjusts that, and I'm assuming that would be the same as well. So let's go 55, 58. Nope, that's back. There we go. So that lines up to the score. Alright. Save that. Now, what we want is score check. Now, we haven't actually... Oh, we have actually done that. So go to the counter. That happens. That should work, actually. Theoretically, so the 0 disappeared. That's way too fast. Way too fast. Okay. But testing. Okay. So, let's have a look. The numbers disappeared. So let's look at the Animator here. And once again, so we've got that. So let's figure out why that happens. Counter 1, animation. Ah. Could be because all of them are turned off here. Okay, let's try that again. Here. So that should work. But does not. Interesting. Let's give it a shot. Kind of works. Yeah, so you can see the transition of sort of when you transition between two animations, it will transition between them. So perhaps if you wanted to snap back, you could either cover them or create an instant sort of thing, so it just like goes back really quick. So lots of options. You could also make the transition like really small, so that works as well. So yeah, kind of works. Okay, so let's do a couple of things. We want to slow the animation down because that is way too hard. This one. Now, if you want to scale everything up, you can just select them. And then let's put this at 2. So if I did this, it would only be those ones. So make sure you select all the ones from the start to do that. So we've got that. That's fine. We also need to do the score check. Hopefully it lines up. So they get stretched out. So there are some problems with just that, but we'll give that a shot. All right. And the last thing we need to do is these numbers and find out why that's not working as well as we would like. So that's one. Okay, so what I think is happening is the transition here is actually a bit long. So if you want to, you can actually change this to something really, really short. So 0.01. So a very, very short transition. So what was happening was the Z depth, Z fighting, that's the one. Z fighting was sort of showing up with that. So that transition will fix that. And then we can hopefully get that going. Save. And then, was there any other things we needed to do? No, don't think so. Let's give that a shot. Okay, a bit more realistic. Okay, let's go here. Okay. So it works in theory, but doesn't work accurately. Is my definition of that. So next up, we have to do a test on... What do we got? The score check. Let's see that so we can see what it's doing. Ah. That might have something to do with it. So let's fix that up. So once again, this is idle, so that's always going to be there. So we actually don't want that. So let's create a parameter, which is... Yep. Let's just go playing. That works. Let's make this a pretty short transition as well. I want to play whenever I want. Playing is true. Playing is false. How's exit time? If I wanted to, I can actually adjust the strength, like not the strength, the length of time with that if I wanted to. So there's a bit of messing about you can do. So that should allow that. So the idle, let's just confirm this. This one. Box collider is off. I need to make sure that the box collider is on in that one, so that's what we want. Cool. Alrighty. Save that. So that one doesn't work. Does this one? Every time we go in. Okay. Yeah, one thing we do need to work on is figuring out like a visualization tool that allows builders to sort of see what's happening with colliders. I don't know if this will be possible because of how Unity does UI. But yes, that is an option. So, we didn't turn on the score check. So, game start. Excellent. So, we need to actually create another event. So, we need to set the screen. What did I call it? Playing. So playing boolean to true and stop scoring, set score playing to false. So that makes sense. So what was happening was I wasn't actually setting to this animation. So now the game start space will start setting off 2 events at any given time, which is and you could have as many as you want. For example, you could actually have really complicated triggers every time you enter one or many assets. So super useful for that. Now, just while we're here, if you put it on local, then that will mean that only the person doing the activity will trigger that event and no one else around the environment would see it. I've made a quick Zelda-like, so a top view camera. So when you walked through at the top of the screen, the camera would go to the next one, but the camera would stay for the other people. So that was a useful approach to dealing with that. Okay. So that's that. I may not have deleted the last one, so I'm going to make sure I do that. Even though it feels like it built it, but we'll see. All right. Ah. The collider is actually moving someone around. Is it? This might be what Wolf was talking about, where if you animate a collider, you'll be moving things around. You actually have to animate the center of the collider. So we may have to look into that as well. So a bit of a trick. I deleted the playground. So let's have a look at that. So we actually have to animate this rather than this for this animation. So I'm going to go into that. And you'll notice that the transform moves, but the center does not. So I'm actually going to remove that. And make sure this animates manually. So that's all static and it's on. So I'm going to go here. Yeah. News to me. I found that I found that out when he did that. So thank you, Tom. Like, he is far superior to me. He's like doing some crazy stuff. I'm very impressed with what he's pulling out of Reactor. I'm looking forward to getting more stuff in Reactor so you can even push it even further. But yeah, Wolf or Tom is definitely sorting stuff out, which is great to see. Okay, so we need to once again put that on. Just go there. And then over here, is it over here? Yeah. Once again, and then at 2, we want to move over here. Yeah. And then that one? Nope, not that one. This one. Now notice how... okay. So I'm just going to... nope. There. Now it's kind of a mix between... let's move that across, shall we? Just to be neat. Once again, the collider is what we're actually focusing on. If you select the keyframe at the top, that will select all of the keyframes under it. So that's what we want. That's not what we want. So position, center, is this one? This one. This could be one of those things where clamped audio will do, like, how do you work it? Like, a lot of animation tools, and this is all of them, Blender, Unity, whatever, if you don't like do specific things on the either side of the keyframe, it will sort of like go out and then in. Yeah, no, Tom's gonna show me stuff that I haven't even thought. He already has, actually. So supposedly, and this one blew my mind, an asset can add left or right direction dependent on where the asset is now, rather than absolute. So before I was talking about the tile's position will be absolute. So every time it starts, it will be at this point in world space. But there is an option, and I don't even know where it is yet. I haven't looked into it. But I think it was like add root motion. This one, actually, I think. So if you have apply root motion, it will add the motion to its current position. So he's basically created a ship, which is nuts. I do not know how he's done it. It's very cool. Yeah, so that is a prime example of it sort of doing weird things because of the animation. So, yeah, he's actually a game developer, so it kind of makes a lot more sense. I used to be a long time ago. Things have changed in the 15 years that I wasn't a game developer. So, yeah. He gets the credit for being pretty cool at it. So changing it to flat will sort of snap that without the sort of easing in and easing out. So you can use that. Once again, select the things, right mouse click, and then choose your option there. Okay. So block collider is visible. So we need to turn that off again. On, off. Good, good, good. Off, on, off. Okay. So. Should work. Yeah, I'm looking. I just want to spend like 3 months on Reactor stuff and see how far I can take it. What's my list? I think I have a list somewhere. Where is it? Things I want to make. I want to do a better version of my Zelda-like, so top view. I want to do a side scroller. So with like colliders on both sides, so you can only go left and right and jump and stuff. I want to make Qubit. I don't know if you know Qubit. And I want to make a Diablo clone. So you'd have to do it. You'd have to do it like per area. So walk into this, load the next area. But you could do an isometric game and do some interesting stuff with that. What are some other spaces I want to make? I want to make Fall Guys tracks, or all of their game modes, basically. Yeah, those are the main ones that I want to make. And my karaoke space. I definitely need my karaoke space. Right, fingers crossed that this one doesn't break. Getting there, though. Slightly closer every single time. Okay. See, it works, but it doesn't. Why? Not sure. Okay. Now let's get into the tricky stuff. I do feel this is the one that's sort of the trick, I guess. That's off. And maybe we should move the collider as well, just to sort of lock that in. Yeah, let's do that. And there's those two that we need to do. That'll do. Okay, so that'll reset once it's done properly. So this is the one. It seemed to be in the right location, so that was good. Maybe we can make this a bit longer. Yeah. Same again here. Yeah. All right. I think we need a higher score. Because 5 is too low and it doesn't work very well. So, let's do this. And I'll have to make the animator as well. So we'll get to that in a second. Now, of course, if I was going to make this like a full game or full counter, I'd use like greater than, so greater than 10, greater than 20, greater than 30, greater than 100, like those sort of things for the next lines up, I guess you could say. Done. And Animator, so on numbers 6, 7, 8, 9. Has exit time. So what was it? Counter equals 5. Counter equals 6. And very short. Seven. Yep. Exit time, counter equals 8.01, and last one, counter equals 9. How's exit time? 0.01. Okay, so that's done. Now, because this one is triggered as a +1, we don't have to actually do anything with the reactor, so that should keep going perfectly fine. Okay. Let's try this. Now I'm wondering if it's because this is on there. I could actually put this like really high. Let's do that. Yeah, let's do that. Remove property. And let's just put this where you can't jump. Ooh, ground. There we go. Even better. Makes more sense. Play. Enabled. Remove that. This is underneath. Make sure that's on. Put that down. Put that up. Ah. Copy, paste. Up. 2. Yep. Copy, paste. Copy, paste. Two. Bring that back one. And then put that, keep that down. So I'm just going to copy that. And then put it up. 4, 2. Once again, back down. Okay. That should work. Should. Being the keyword there. Alright, let's give that a shot. Just making sure it doesn't work. Only works when I walk into those events. Game over. Good. It's up the top. I think that the line is wrong. Yeah, the timing is wrong, I think. So it works, but precision. Okay. So close, so close. Alright, let's have a look. So we have our tiles. No, we have our screen, which is under the screen animator. How can we line it up? That's going to be interesting. Okay. So I'm going to write these down. So we'll get this right. 1, 1, 2. Left. One, 2, 9. Up. Oh, we were way off. No wonder this isn't working. Oh, wow. Okay. I'll actually apologize for that one. That one's actually pretty bad planning on my part. Okay. Score check. Idle's fine. Play is not at all. Okay. So 112 there. And the next one is 129, which is there. Okay. And because this loops at 2, I'm going to grab this and put it there, so it will loop at the same length, which is what part of the problem would be, actually, come to think of it. So the screen ends at 2. Doop, doop. Yeah. So of course, this animation mechanic could be cleaned up, but I think that should be better. That felt a bit fast, so I'm actually going to do that again. Yeah. Okay. Okay, that seems to work. I think it's working. Yay! Finally. Okay, that makes a lot more sense now that I think about it. But that's cool. Alright, Now what do we need to do? Let's, okay. Let's go to... Thanks. What is that? I don't know. Is that a yay? See, it works for me. Yay. We want to reset. Yeah. So when we get off, we want to reset the numbers. So let's look at that. Now in this case, we actually need it. So if we are here and we get off, it can't go back because it doesn't have an arrow. So for this argument, it's going to be very messy. But basically, we need to do this. So I can reset at any point. That said, you can use this to your advantage. So if you have, think of this like a node tree or a state machine where it's just like, I want to check for these things, but I don't have to worry about something in the past. So you can actually use this to create sort of interesting loops, I guess you could say, in regards to what's going on in your world. I haven't used that much yet, but I do plan to. I have the theory that I have some ways to use that in interesting ways. So, one day. Okay, so, can I multi-select? Ooh, I can. I can. That's going to save a bit of time, innit? Alright, so, I'm going to turn all the exit times off because I want to be able to get out at any time. I want to make the counter to 0. So if the counter equals 0, go there. I haven't checked that. I think I tried it once and it didn't work, but I think that's me. We could try it. Yeah, let's try that. Make transition to there. Has exit time. Counter equals 0. Alright. To be honest, I've never used that. I should have. I just never used it. So yes, great idea. I'm just an idiot. We do need to set up the game start. So yeah, this is a third rule on exit, right? So let's call that counter reset. Set numbers. Nope, it's actually on the object. Game start, this one. Numbers. Makes the connection, so that's good. What did I call it? Counter. Counter. Int 0. So that's a set. Okay. Yeah, let's see. I think that's it. Yes. And once again, a bit fast, and I keep forgetting if I actually do that or not. We do need to, I think we can actually do it so it deletes it for you, because if you're going to press playground, we might be able to do that, which will save half a second. Very important half a second. Okay. Let us see. See, that one happened at the wrong time, so I'm not sure why that happens. That's an interesting one. But yeah. Okay. Correct. We have a winner. Hard. Imagine having 6. That's gonna be. That's Is that even gonna work? You'd have to design the arrows. Like, this gets into game mechanics. You'd have to design the arrows to work well with this limited controls. But the other thing is, like, say for example, I could have a. Like, if I put the screen face down there, you could probably do that, which would be an interesting approach. You could put the camera up the top, so you don't have to worry about it. There's a lot of options there. So it seems a little off. Not too sure why. It is getting so close, though. So, any state does work. That's great. I'll be using that in the future. So, well done, Scoob. Excellent suggestion. Okay. We've got 20 minutes. What does everyone want me to do in that time? How can we push that? Things I would like to do. One, make it work properly. But I think we've spent enough time sort of trying to figure that out so I can move on. Maybe I'll spend more time on it. I'd like to, because I'd like to get this working. Oh, really? I don't know if it's saving the project or deleting the playground files. One of those makes it work. So sometimes, and it depends on, like, it's a bit of a weird thing, but the once you do the playground, they sometimes don't update. So generally, I will always delete the playground files just in case, just to make sure that they do. So it's a bit of that. Right, so what else can we do? I kind of want to hide that because that annoys me. Bye. We could do it. Things I want to do, if I was going to flesh this out fully, have better tiles, so when you step on them, it does that. Have maybe particles explode at the arrows, so if you get it correct, it actually does some sort of effect up on the board here. I would add a higher counter. 9 isn't that high. Probably go up to like the 1,000 set, so you can have a score of 9, like 9,999 on a manual grid seems a very high amount. But then again, I watched Memory spend, how much was it? Like 30 minutes, 40 minutes on a running course that he made to get to the end, and then failed getting back. So yeah, people have interesting levels of patience when it comes to your high scores. So there's that. What else would I do? Yeah, those are the main ones, to be honest. So if the chat has any requests, I could definitely do that. Otherwise, I could keep fiddling around to try and figure out why it's not working properly. I've got one idea. No, that's down. So it seems to be the right point. And yeah, moving the center did seem to fix that glitch. So Tom's definitely onto something with that. So that was good to find out. Yeah, it's a bit of an interesting one. And once again, because you can't see the collider in as a test, here's the thing. Let's add an object so we can see it. And we're gonna actually turn off the box collider because I don't want to see it. And let's make a material that's kind of see-through. So plastic white, duplicate, test. Tests. Make that fade. Make that 50%. About there. Apply that to the cube. Cool. And if we just make this a child of our collider, that should... Ooh. That won't work because it animates the center. Okay. So let's see. Yeah. That said, let's just animate that. Now, because it's a child of the animated object, that should be fine. So it should be good. And play. So where is it? Now it's always good. The pink cubes are very useful, but sometimes they don't, especially if your rotation is a little bit off. So be sure to every now and then make sure that using this, it shows you where exactly it is. So that's a useful thing as well. So basically just following where this cube goes so we can get a better idea of exactly where it is. Hopefully this will be useful, but we'll see. Yep. All right. Let's give that a shot. Do. Okay. So no cube. So I'm not sure why that is. So it's clear that it's triggering that not in the frame that it needs to. That said, if I stay on it, that works. So part of it works, part of it doesn't. Not sure why. But it is possible to put a cube on a collider so you can at least see what's going on. But this problem is deeper because it's clearly picking up the issue even though the collider is not there. See, that's the thing, but like this is where well, that's the thing, like the center tool may be misaligned with the transform tool, so we don't see it. It's a tricky one, actually. Yeah, I'm not too sure. Is there anything else, like, See, that's what I'm worried about. I'm worried about that it's there as a default. So maybe if we can actually get rid of it down there. Maybe. That's going to fix it anyway. But the problem is there, it will be positioned on... Could be that. Probably not. But let's try it. Well, let's leave it down there. This is the one we need to worry about. Nope. And back super low. So it could be that. The cube doesn't really work. So I'm just going to get rid of that. When you delete an asset, it will sort of break that. I could leave that in there, but like I just like things being clean. So there's that. So that, yeah, that's definitely out of the range now, including the default state. So could be that. I think we have a winner. Sweet. This is a very hard game. But that's it. That's what it was. Okay. I wonder why. Okay. So, heads up. The non-animated state of an asset, at least collider, will be taken into consideration. I don't know why. So make sure that your assets are correct at all times, including the animated states, but also the, what would you call it? I guess default state. So let's have a look. So our score check, this asset, not animated, was up here, and that seemed to be picking it. Could have been a transition state, not too sure. So getting that out of the way, and then adjusting does seem to make that work. So there you go. Dance Dance Revolution. Hooah! Well, it is now. But once again, like the advanced reactor starts playing with things you don't expect it to, I guess you could say. So there was a lot of things interacting with other things and just making sure. So when creating advanced reactor assets, it does take a little bit longer because a lot of things are interacting with other things in interesting ways. There's a lot more mistakes that can go wrong. So this is where naming becomes super important, with parameters, for example. And that's why I would always check the animator parameter with the asset that I'm connecting to. I should have known this, but I didn't know this. When you drag the correct asset into something, so once again, if you do this, it breaks the line. But when you put the correct asset, it adds the line. So that line will only work with assets that have animation, or an animator, sorry. So if you look at this, it's looking for this, and in that, we have our counter. So that's super useful with those sort of assets as well. What other things did we learn today? Things get complicated. So, if I had, I could create an asset set where you have off, and then it doesn't have access to anything except on. But once you have on, then you can sort of have a bunch of different assets here that connect parameters. So that would be an example of creating a more complicated sub-state of an asset for game playing and game not playing. So I could use that if I wanted to. What else is there? So much stuff. That said, everything is animation when it comes down to it. Like, if you think of any game, a lot of it is just animation. A state reset, yeah. So I've got this main one here that sort of, when I go in, starts the game, and when I go out, stops the game. But then I could create like a node graph, basically, that allows things to happen at certain events that would allow other things. So you can do all sorts of stuff. Now, all of these transition that we've done with events, if I wanted to, I could actually transition over here. So just as an example, I could do that. And then just how it has exit time. So at the end of scorebox play, automatically go back to idle. So you don't need to have parameters. You can actually control your animations to go all over the place if you want to. So that's a useful technique as well. And yeah, asset. Where did we do that? That was in numbers. Yeah. So for example, all of our counters will use any state. So any state in our animator can go back to counter. So that's a very useful tool as well that I completely missed, and I believe Scoob came up with that idea. So I'll remember that forever. So yeah, we covered lots of stuff in 2 hours. There was a lot of messing about because finicky. But yeah, this is one example of a complicated thing. I don't know if like controlling a character like this is good for Dance Dance Revolution. I think it would be hard, and people like hard things. I am not one of those people, so I may finish this so other people can play it. And see what score you can get. But then I have to design like songs and all that sort of stuff, so maybe one day. But I think that'll be a lot of fun. If it's just a proof of concept, for example. So that'd be kind of fun. So yeah, any questions before wrapping up this stream? I'm going to save that. But after 1 hour, 45 minutes, I can definitely say that Dance Dance Revolution is possible. Yes. And that's the thing, like, if you're doing transforms, which is more common, collider tests is less common. This is the first time I've needed to do it. But using colliders in movement allows you to sort of create a I'm going to start that again. Putting a translucent box does allow you certain helpers or guides in regards to things moving around that you can't see. And then eventually you can delete it. Unfortunately, it doesn't really work with the collider thing as we tested it. Not sure why. That was certainly an interesting thing. So there's a lot of Unity-specific situations, I'm going to use the more positive term there, that you have to get around and troubleshoot. And yeah, like testing in Mona is super easy. I think that was one of the things that blew my mind the first time I used it was, questions more than welcome to. One of the things that blew my mind with Mona was the fact that you could test so quickly. So literally, like back then, you had to use the Mona menu. You didn't have the playground, so they've come a little bit faster. And once again, that like half second is so much better. So yeah, getting this into a website so quickly is just like so cool. But yes, so welcome, KK. What question do you have? Or is thanks for broadcast the question? Thanks for the broadcast? Is there a question? So if you're looking at Unity Cube, so if I put a Unity Cube in, well, any object. So it depends on what you're trying to do with the cube. So what do you mean by not affected? So at the moment, this would be affected because it has a box collider. So if I move this, it would push, I believe it would push the character around. But if I turn this off or delete it, then it would go through the character. Same with an FBX. So I have some FBXs here. So these are all FBXs. So if I put this down, this will not affect the player because there is no mesh collider. Yeah, so that is because it has a collider on it. If you don't want it to affect the character, you can delete the box collider. Is that what you mean? I wonder if that's the thing we found today where you have to use... yeah. So let's have a look. So that's got a collider. Now, Reactor is separate. So what are you doing with Reactor? Okay. So... Alright. So let's create an empty game object, which is Reactor start animation. Right. Well, I've got. Oh, hang on. Let's pull up the... Oh no, my doc's default changed. Mona.gallery. Resources? Yeah, Mona Playground. This one. Yeah, so if you have a door, I'll show you this and tell me where we're at. So if I use Reactor, so if I do this, that will push around because the door has a collider, which you probably want. Otherwise, I'll be able to get through the door. In this case, I've actually made it so it opens the direction you enter the reactor. Sliding door, same thing. So you want that to be a box collider, because otherwise people can just walk through the collider. But the avatar... Hi, whoever guest one is. But the... what would you call it? The avatar will always work with colliders. So if the box that you're talking about does not have a collider on it, either box or mesh or whatever, then it will not affect the avatar. So I'm wondering if it's a collider issue. I think I have elevators. I have these ones over here, actually. So is that the kind of effect that you're talking about? Hello. Okay. Yeah, so with, what do you call it? With Reactor, I find that I don't put... I don't turn is trigger on because it doesn't, like, these, for example, do not have is trigger to on. PPV and warp volumes need to turn is trigger on. So there's that. So I'm not... There's a few different variations. Yes. What time is that? Probably now, right? Probably now. So I'll probably wrap up, yeah? KK, if you hit me up, we can talk about this a bit further on the Discord. Okay. What is happening is if you get on an animated object, the avatar will connect to that object so it moves with objects. So that might be the problem, where if you're connecting with a sliding door, it thinks that it's on the sliding door and therefore it will affect the character. Cool. Yeah, hit me up. I'm going to wrap up so everyone can go join the book club. And yeah, hit me up and we can figure this out off stream. Yeah, that'll be fine. Cool. All right, I'm going to wrap it there. Hope everyone learned something. I certainly did. And yeah, have a good day with that. So yeah, back to this. Save that. Cool. No worries. Have a good night. And my usual call sign, this is going to be my call sign from now on. Happy building. I'll catch you later. Bye.